Sally's fingers trembled in her lap. "I overheard something," she said. "Outside. The lawyer." Mrs. Aju did not blink. "Who? You mean Barrister Emeka Ibe?" Sally nodded. "What did you hear?" Sally swallowed hard. He said something about the real lawyer, your father's lawyer, that he was paid off, that he was supposed to disappear, that what they did, it was dangerous." She paused. "Tell me, Sally, who else knows what you heard?" Mrs. Aju asked, dabbing her brow with the napkin. "No one, Ma," Sally said. "Just me. I never said anything to no one. I'm not like that, Ma." Mrs. Aju nodded slowly. "That's good." Sally stood up. "Okay, I'll go and sleep now, Ma. Good night, Sally." My story lovers, they said she was just a gossip, just a maid, just a village girl with a big mouth and an even bigger imagination. She became the butt of many jokes. But Sally's story did not end with laughter. This, my story fam, is the part of the tale no one likes to tell, when the mouth that loved to run suddenly goes quiet. Back in the village, it had been weeks since Mama Njidika last heard her daughter's voice. At first, she thought maybe Sally had simply run out of airtime or gotten too busy in the city to remember the woman who gave her life. But then, 1 week became 2, 2 became 4, and still, nothing. She sat on her small wooden stool outside the house, peeling cassava under the mango tree, but her hands moved slowly, distracted. Her eyes kept darting to her old, cracked phone lying face down on the bench beside her. She should have called by now, she muttered under her breath. 2 of the village women, Aya Mojisola and Mama Chuka, walked past carrying firewood. Mama Njideka, you look like you're about to cry. They didn't let Sally return home again?" Aya Mojisola teased, laughing. Mama Njideka gave a half-hearted smile. "I just never hear from her. No call, no message." "Maybe she gossiped too much in the city and enter Wahala," Mama Chuka added, chuckling. "That her mouth would land her in prison, eh?" They laughed, but Mama Njideka didn't. She stared at the dust on her slippers, then whispered, "God forbid. My Sally may talk, but she's no thief." Still, that mother's voice inside her, the one no one else can hear, kept saying something is wrong. The rickety village bus groaned as it swerved around another crater in the dusty road, but Mama Njidika didn't even blink. Her knuckles were ashy from how tightly she clutched her handbag, not for fear of thieves, but for the fear that had settled deep inside her heart. Inside the bag, wrapped in a clean white handkerchief, was Sally's old scarf, the lilac one with the tiny stitched daisies she loved to wear on market days. Sally had forgotten it the morning she left for the city, talking fast and laughing even faster. "Mama, I'll wear it when I come back. I'm going to hustle first," she'd said. But Sally hadn't come back. The villagers laughed when she mentioned her daughter's silence. Maybe Sally ran and married a foreign man from America. Is it not gossip that landed her in big trouble? That girl? Trouble day follow her like shadow. They laughed, but Mama Njidika did not. She had warned her child more times than she could count, but now the scarf was still with her, and Sally was nowhere to be found. As the bus rolled on, Mama Njideka bowed her head slightly and muttered under her breath, "Fada in heaven, please let my daughter be okay. Let her be safe wherever she is. But," her voice cracked, "but this feeling in my chest, Father, it won't let me rest. Something is not right. Something is not right with my Sally." She pressed the scarf to her lips. She wanted to believe her daughter was fine, maybe just busy or stubborn or caught up in city life. But a mother knows, and Mama Njideka knew. By the time Mama Njideka arrived in Lagos, her legs were sore from the cramped bus, and her eyes stung from the fumes and confusion of the city. This was not her world, the roads too wide, The people too rushed, the buildings too tall. Clutching Sally's scarf and her handbag tight to her chest, she wandered the busy streets asking for directions. Please, sir, you know one big house? The Aju Mansion? Aju? Big compound? Black gate? Most people shrugged or waved her off. For 2 whole days, she searched. She walked in the heat until her slippers peeled at the edges, slept under a shed by a closed market stall, ate only roasted corn and granites, but she didn't stop. And then, on the 3rd morning, she saw it, set back behind tall black iron gates, surrounded by flowering hedges and clean stone paths, stood the mansion, the Aju Mansion. Her heart jumped. Sally, she whispered, stepping toward the gates. But before she could knock, 2 guards stepped forward, arms crossed. Madame, who you be? One of them barked. I'm looking for my daughter, Sally. She's a maid here. No maid here by that name. But she... Oya, madame, carry yourself and go. We have no time for disturbance. I'm her mother, Mama shouted, her voice cracking. We don't care. She's not here. Go before we call the police. They shut the small window on the gate in her face. Mama Njideka stood there for a long time, unsure if her feet would carry her again. Eventually she walked away, but only to return the next day. She sat across the street under a broken umbrella, watching the compound from morning till late evening. Her legs ached, her lips were dry, but she didn't move. And then she saw it. A black luxury SUV, polished like oil, pulled slowly out of the compound. Mama Njideka stood up, stepped into the road, and stretched out her hands. The car honked once, then again, but she didn't move. The vehicle stopped. A tinted window rolled down. Inside was Mrs. Aju, dressed in silk, dark shades hiding her eyes. Yes, she said, calm and poised. My name is Mama Njideka, the woman said, trembling. I am Sally's mother. Sally, my daughter. She came to work here. Please, I just want to know if she's all right. I haven't heard from her in weeks. Mrs. Aju hesitated for a moment, then offered a soft, practiced smile. Oh, Sally. Yes, she no longer works here. Mama's breath caught. Where is she? She got a wonderful opportunity abroad. America. She's in the States now, studying. I'm surprised she hasn't called you. But you know these young girls. No, Mama said firmly. My daughter? Sally would never travel and not tell me. Well, Mrs. Aju replied smoothly, perhaps she didn't want you to worry. She would have called. She would have left a note. She would not leave me like this. There was a pause, and then Mrs. Aju's voice sharpened slightly. I've told you what I know. Sally is gone. She's fine. Now please, don't return here again. The window rolled back up. The SUV eased around Mama Njideka and disappeared into the Lagos traffic. But Mama didn't move. She stood there, eyes locked on the woman in the back seat of the black SUV, watching the tinted glass roll back up like a curtain falling after a bad performance. But Mama's feet remained planted, not because of what Mrs. Aju said, but because of what Sally didn't say. Her daughter, the same Sally who couldn't keep her mouth shut if you tied it with a rope, would never travel to another country without telling her own mother. Never. No excitement was too big, no secret too sweet. Sally would have called. She would have shouted it to the world. She would have said, Mama, I got American visa. I will make you proud, Mama. But there had been no call, no letter, not even a whisper. So now, standing alone outside the mansion gates, Mama Njideka said nothing. She simply turned around, walked slowly down the road, and in her heart, she knew. Mrs. Aju was lying. The Lagos sun beat down hard on the tin roof of the local police station, making the inside feel more like a smokehouse than a place of justice. Ceiling fans whirred uselessly overhead as flies buzzed near a dusty portrait of the Inspector General. Mama Njideka stood at the counter, her hands gripping the hem of her wrapper as if it were the only thing anchoring her to the ground. "My daughter is missing," she said, her voice dry with heat and desperation. "Her name is Sally Njideka. She left the village a couple months ago to work in this city. She called me every day, but all of a sudden she stopped calling. This is not like her, officer." The officer behind the desk didn't even look up. He was busy scratching something into a logbook with a half-chewed pencil. "Madame, children travel. They forget to call, especially the stubborn ones," he muttered, finally raising a bored brow. "She's an adult?" "She's a young woman," Mama said, "but she's my only child, and she would never travel abroad without telling me. Someone told me she went to the States, but—" The officer chuckled without humor. "Ah, then you should be rejoicing. Soon she will be sending you plenty dollars." "She didn't go anywhere, officer," Mama whispered. "I know she didn't. That's what they're saying, but it's a lie. My Sally, she wouldn't go anywhere without telling me. Something has happened. Something is wrong. Please, I need someone to help me find her." "Madame," the officer said, sitting back in his chair with a sigh, "you say they. Who is they?" "The people she worked for. The Ajus. Mr. and Mrs. Aju." At once, the energy in the room shifted. The other officer at the back of the room, who had been spooning rice into his mouth, paused mid-bite. The first officer's face grew tight. "You mean Mr. Alex and Madame Aju?" he asked slowly. Mama nodded. "Yes, she worked in their house as a maid, but I've gone to the house, and they won't let me in. They say she's gone abroad, but I know it's not true. I know my child." "Madame," the officer said sharply, now rising to his feet. "Let me advise you. Leave that matter alone. You hear me?" She blinked. "But Mrs. Aju is a very powerful woman in this town," he continued. "If she says your daughter went to the States, then she went to the States. Finish." Another officer near the window gave a low whistle. "Wow, you get liver to come here and mention that name anyhow." "I don't care who she is," Mama cried, her voice cracking. "My daughter is missing, and nobody cares." The DPO behind the desk slammed his palm down. "Madame, that's enough. If you don't leave this station now, I will personally charge you for wasting police time. This is Lagos, not your village. Take that village drama elsewhere." And just like that, they waved her away. No form was filled. No search was started. No questions asked. Mama Njideka walked out slowly, her scarf drooping like a wilted flower on her head. She moved through the crowded street like a ghost, the noise of blaring horns and shouting vendors drowning out the sound of her heartbreak. Her legs moved, but her spirit dragged behind. Now, not even the law would listen. Her only child was missing, and all they saw was a poor village woman who didn't know her place. But Mama knew. Sally hadn't gone to the States. She hadn't left to study. And if nobody else was going to search, then she would. Even if it meant standing at those gates again. Even if it meant facing the Aju family one more time. Even if it meant doing it alone. The rain had stopped, but the clouds still hung low like a warning. Mama Njideka stood at the grand iron gates of the Aju mansion for the fourth time in a week, her wrapper soaked at the hem and her spirit nearly broken. "I'm begging you," she pleaded with the two security guards at the entrance. "Just tell her her mother is here. I only want to see my daughter. I've not heard from her in over a month." The taller of the two guards crossed his arms. "Madam, we've told you already. Your daughter is not here." "But this is where she worked. She called me from this compound." The second guard stepped forward, this one younger but no less firm. "Look here, old woman," he snapped. "Don't come back here again. If you do, we'll call the police. Madame and Aga don't want any disturbance." Mama's breath caught. "You'll call the police for—" Me? She asked softly. The first guard gave a short nod. Yes, and next time we won't just warn you. Mama stared at them both, then turned away, her shoulders heavy, her sandals squelching in the mud. She walked away slowly, disoriented and devastated. How could they treat her like this? Her Sally, missing without a trace. No one cared, no one believed her. They all thought she was just another dramatic village mother, or worse, that Sally had run off for greener pastures and forgotten her roots. As she passed the side of the compound wall, head low, she heard a sudden voice behind her. "Madame, wait!" She turned. A young woman in a faded housekeeper's uniform jogged toward her from the servants' entrance, eyes darting left and right to make sure she hadn't been seen. "Please, come quickly. This way," the girl whispered. Mama and Judeka followed her through a narrow gate and into the back servants' quarters. They climbed the stairs in silence until they reached a small room, dim and cold, smelling faintly of lavender and ash. "This was your daughter's room," the girl whispered, opening the door gently. Mama stepped inside. The room was bare. She looked around, slowly, her heart thudding louder with every step. The closets, empty, doors swinging open like crooked arms. The drawers, pulled out and vacant. The mirror, clean, but lifeless. And then, crouching down, she looked under the bed. There in the far corner, a familiar beaded piece of jewelry. She reached for it with trembling hands, opened it, and gasped. It was Sally's anklet. The same one her father had put on Sally's right ankle years ago. Sally never took it off. Never. "She wouldn't leave this," Mama whispered. The girl stood near the doorway, eyes misting. "I felt sorry for you, Mama. That's why I'm showing you this," she said. "Your daughter, she was nice, but she asked too many questions, always snooping, always talking. Many of the things she said, rumors, suspicions, we had already guessed, but we stayed quiet. Not Sally. She wanted to expose everything." She hesitated, then added in a softer voice, "I don't believe she went to the States. I think your daughter stepped on the lion's tail." Mama rose slowly. "What do you mean?" The girl looked over her shoulder, then said quietly, "Follow me." They walked through a dark hallway and slipped out into the backyard through a broken kitchen gate. At the far edge of the compound, behind some overgrown shrubs and beside a pile of rusted garden tools, the girl stopped. She pointed. "This is where I saw them last." Mama looked down. A blackened patch of earth sat beneath her feet. Bits of charred wood, ashes, and something else, something plastic and misshapen. "The last night I saw Sally, I saw Mr. and Mrs. Aju back here. It was late at night, and from my window I saw a small fire. I didn't think much of it at first, but the next morning I came out here, and I found this." Mama crouched low. Her hand brushed aside some ash. There it was, Sally's phone case, melted and half buried. The cartoon sticker she'd loved so much was nearly gone. Beside it, a crushed and shattered phone, and stuck to one burnt piece of wood was a half-burnt envelope with a charred letter inside, still showing the faintest trace of writing. "To my sweet Mama." Mama and Judeka gasped. "I don't know what happened to her," the girl said shakily, "but I don't think she ever left this house." Then, her voice barely a whisper, "Ma, if I were you, I would leave. Go back to the village. Mr. and Mrs. Aju are not who you think they are." And with that, the girl turned and walked away, her sandals silent on the wet ground. Mama Njidika fell to her knees, clutching the ash-covered box and phone case, her tears soaked into the scorched soil. "I warned you, Sally," she whispered. "I warned you this gossiping would lead to no good. Now look."